Welcome, brave souls, to the chilling depths of horror in detail. Today we're going to share UFO sightings horror stories. First story. I found something horrific in the leaked UFO documents. So I looked through the leaked UFO documents that came out last week, and most of it was pretty boring, but I stumbled on the below transcript. Did anyone else spot this? It really freaked me out, and I thought you guys would like it. Audio summary of Government Communication Headquarters Case number 44000007382 in collaboration with the Military Intelligence Section 5 and in corroboration with the United States of America's Central Intelligence Agency and Israel's Institute for Intelligence and Special Operations. A dictation of evidence tape number 3, a collection of 3 videos taken and distributed on video sharing sites by the victim, dictated by Detective Constable Jonathan Lehman. The time is 20:03 and the dictation will commence now. Commencing with the condensed video titled Eating Random Seeds, I found online, gross. The first of 3 depicting the victim and the suspected cause of his death. This was recorded on the 7th of July, 2021 and uploaded onto the video streaming site YouTube on the 8th of July, 2021. Prior to being removed from the site at the Government Communication Headquarters request, it had received 72 views from 16 unique visitors. Hey guys and girls, what the hell heck is going on with you? It's me, Cacker44, back at it again with another video dash. Cacker44 is the online pseudonym of the deceased Jonathan Tinmouth. He was 17 years old at the time of recording. His skin has a healthy complexion, his pupils black, undiluted, and his iris a natural, pale blue color. The whites of his eyes are bloodshot, but, together with some small bags under them, we can collate this to a lack of sleep or excessive screen usage. His hair is thick, styled with gel. He seems energetic, his voice is loud, if slightly higher pitched. His long-sleeved, gray t-shirt hides his body, but some muscle definition can be seen on the chest and arms. The skin that is visible on his face, hands, and neck is pale, but not unnaturally so. In my opinion, and in the opinion of the Force Medical Examiner who reviewed this footage, Jonathan Tinmouth seems like a healthy young man. Were I able to try out some weird seeds or fruits that I found online, well, ordered from China, Tinmouth lifts a small, brown paper bag into the camera frame. The bag has no identifiable features, and Phoenicia lastria cannot be seen. There has currently been little process to find where these were ordered or if they even were ordered. Tinmouth's laptop and phone have both been seized, but there is no evidence that relevant orders from China were made in the past 2 years. There is a possibility that this package was sent deliberately or accidentally along with ordered goods to his address. Investigations are still ongoing. But before I get into this, thank you all for watching, guys, and thanks for liking and subscribing to this video. Please keep it up, you have been amazing recently, and I can't thank you enough for your support. At the time of removal, Tinmouth had 3 subscribers on his Cacker44 channel. One was his own personal account. Another was from his mother, Jane Tinmouth's personal account. Another was from his friend Jacob Talbot's personal account. There is no evidence that Jane Tinmouth or Jacob Talbot viewed this video. Okay, so let me just open this up. Okay, here we go. What the freaking heck is that? Crunchy and salty? Yeah, really quite salty. But definitely not a fan. Tinmouth appears to have eaten a pistachio nut with the shell on. Haha. Well, I hope the next one's going to be better. I don't really know what I was expecting. It's really just a bit of a mystery bag. Okay, here's a good one. Let's give this one a go. Tinmouth continues the video and appears to eat a walnut, a macadamia nut, a dried edamame bean, a pecan, and 3 other unidentified nuts or beans, none of which are Phoenicia lastria. I am restarting the video at 7 minutes and 23 seconds. What was that, edamame? God, it was so dry, I thought all these were nuts. I've only ever really had those at sushi places before and never dry. That was so weird, guys. I wasn't expecting that. Oh, well, it looks like we're getting to the end of the lot. Only a couple more to go. Oh, this looks cool. Tinmouth pulls Phoenicia procumbus from the bag. It has the appearance of a kidney bean. It is small, purple, but with bright green dots speckling the surface. As opposed to the rest of the foods in the bag, the Phoenicia lastria appears to be moist and possibly even wet. As we have seen how Phoenicia lastria behaves with other life forms, it appears to be behaving as it should. You guys, this looks cool. Look at the colors on that. What even is that? Like, that just looks wild, man. Remind me of like a jelly bean or something, you know? Like the weird ones you could get that tasted of like soap or something. Bet this one will taste of a bean or something. Well, here it goes. Whoa, that tastes good. It's sweet, maybe even tangy. Man, I need to look up what this is. If any of you know, drop in the comment down below. Tinmouth ingests the Phoenicia lastria, and there are no immediate side effects. There were no comments under the video attempting to identify the bean. There were no comments underneath this video. The video continues until 12 minutes and 12 seconds. Due to a lack of relevancy to this case, I will end the video now and play the next. Commencing with the second condensed video titled "Think I've Got Food Poisoning," which depicts the victim suffering from symptoms of ingesting the Phoenicia lastria. This was recorded on the 9th of July, 2021, and uploaded onto the video streaming site YouTube on the 10th of July, 2021. Prior to being removed from the site at the Government Communication Headquarters' request, it had received 9 views from 3 unique visitors. These 3 unique visitors also had viewed his previous video. Hi guys, K-Hacker44 here. Tinmouth can be seen in his bed, duvet up to his chin. The video quality is worse than the first video, as it was filmed at night using a mobile phone camera rather than his normal video camera. Because of the content matter, I believe that this video was unscripted, but he seemed sane at the time of recording. Because of the video quality and the poor lighting in the video, I will attempt to describe his appearance as accurately as possible. I would recommend the listener reads the Force Medical Examiner's report on the video. His skin appears to now have a grayish complexion. His pupils are black but dilated. However, this could be due to the time of day. His iris are a dark blue color. The whites of his eyes are heavily bloodshot, and he has heavy bags under his eyelids. His hair is flat and looks wet with sweat. He seems lethargic. His voice is quieter than normal and raspy. Most of his body cannot be seen, but the veins on his visible arm and neck look more visible than usual. Long-sleeved gray t-shirt hides his body, but some muscle definition can be seen on the chest and arms. In my opinion, and in the opinion of the Force Medical Examiner who reviewed this footage, Jonathan Tinmouth appears to be dying from the effects of Phoenicia lastria. I feel pretty crap, but at least I'm not dying, right guys? It could be worse. I could have salmonella. Well, my mom thinks I might have that, but I don't reckon. I'm not sure what I have really. But anyway, this video is just to say that there won't be many videos until I'm better, but at least I get some time off school. Later guys, please like and subscribe. Tinmouth appears to fist bump the camera before ending the video. There was one comment under the video from Jacob Talbot's personal account stating, "Probably the seeds, bro." Tinmouth replied to the comment stating, "There's no way, dude. Mom says it's probably the chicken." Anyway, see you at college soon. There were no other comments underneath this video. The video is less than a minute long. Commencing with the third condensed video, which is untitled. This video was not uploaded onto any video sharing sites and was instead found on Tinmouth's laptop when it was taken as evidence. It depicts the early symptoms of a victim dying of ingesting the Phoenicia lastria. The recording started at 5:04 p.m. on the 11th of July, 2021. Tinmouth is shown in a dark room with only the lamp on. He is coughing, and it looks like he was struggling to breathe. We do not know why he decided to start recording, but it seems like, as with all other walks of his life, he just wanted to document what was happening to him. His hands look stiff and contorted, which makes it very likely that he was unable to even pick up his phone to call emergency services, friends, or a family member. Please, I need help. Tinmouth comes close to the screen at this point. The Force Medical Examiner has written a report on the video, but my observations should be suffice and match what we already know about ingestion of Phoenicia lastria. His skin now has a light green complexion. His pupils are a milky gray color and appear to be warped. His iris have turned a deep purple color with specks of green that appear to have physically cut through his eyelids. He is bleeding light from multiple burst blood vessels in his eyes. More green specks cover the whites of his eyes and appear to be what burst the blood vessels. He continues to have heavy bags under his eyelids. His hair is straw-like and matted, but his face is wet with sweat. It appears that some of his hair has fallen out or snapped off. He sounds extremely panicked, and his movements are quick. When he can speak, his voice is pained and guttural. There is blood on his lips and chin that has likely come from his throat. He is coughing up blood and what could only be described as leaves. Most of the top half of his body can be seen, but his face takes up most of the frame. His veins are a dark green and no longer have the texture of veins. They're thick, wiry, and some have broken through the skin of his face, arms, and chest. The sounds that you will now hear is Tinmouth dying. Oh God, oh God, Mum, oh God, my arms, my Mum. Tinmouth is now deceased from the effects of the Phoenicia lastria. The veins in his body have all completely burst from Tinmouth's skin and have propelled themselves onto the ceiling and wall of his bedroom, suspending Tinmouth in the air. These veins have now become solid, wiry, and vine-like. His face is barely visible as thick veins have burst through his eye sockets, mouth, nose, and ears and onto the ceiling. Due to the velocity as which these veins burst from his body, blood and body tissue covers almost every visible surface. From the neck down, his whole body is now pale, gray, and limp, with most of his body tissue being torn from so violently that the bones in his limbs launch themselves across the room. The few remaining bones in his appendages fall occasionally on the floor. Tinmouth's lungs and heart appear to be intact, but his belly has ruptured and his intestines dangle below his legs. Blood and fluids continue to pour onto the floor after the initial burst. Instead of a gaping hole where his belly had been, a Phoenicia lastria has fully grown inside him at about a 2-foot diameter. It appears that the veins that suspend him are attached to the Phoenicia lastria. It is a dark purple color with dull green specks covering it. A wet hole, about 1 inch in diameter, is in its center, directly facing the camera. The Phoenicia lastria itself is pulsing every 3 or 4 seconds, and with every pulse, what appears to be frog's spawn is ejected from the hole and violently shoots towards the camera. Most visibility is lost when eventually the camera is hit by this substance. I have been told by an expert from the United States of America's Central Intelligence Agency that this substance contains seedlings of the Phoenicia lastria. The video continues for another 3 hours before Tinmouth is discovered by his father, Jeremy Tinmouth. I will skip the video until then. However, there is little to describe due to the camera being covered in the frog spawn-like substance. What you are hearing now is Tinmouth being discovered by his father. Hey, bud, you've been up there for a while. Dinner's going call. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus Christ. Movement can be vaguely seen through the lens as Jeremy Tinmouth opens the door and sees his deceased son. He slams the door shut almost as soon as he opens it. There is no evidence that he came into contact with his Jonathan Tinmouth's body or the Phoenicia lastria. There is no evidence that Jane Tinmouth or Emily Tinmouth, Jonathan's sister, made contact with Jonathan Tinmouth's body or the Phoenicia lastria. He makes a 911 call at 8:41 p.m., less than 30 seconds after discovering his son's body. The transcript of the call is as follows. The address has been omitted as to make this GDPR compliant. Oh, ambulance, I need an ambulance. Something has my son. It looks like a plant. Yes, it has my son. I'm at home. I'm outside. Me and my family are outside. Yes, the address is address withheld. Please, I need an ambulance. No, I don't know if he's breathing. There's so much blood, but I don't know if he's still breathing. Please hurry. Jeremy Tinmouth ends the phone call after this sentence. The operator, Miss Susie Fletcher, dispatches an ambulance at 8:43 p.m., and it arrives on site at 8:58 p.m. The first contact paramedics, Brendan Harris and Danielle Evergreen, Meet Jeremy Tinmouth outside of the property before entering Jonathan Tinmouth's room. Once again, there is little to describe due to the camera being covered. Jonathan? We're coming in now. Jonathan! Oh, HL dash. It is at this point that Jonathan Tinmouth's laptop runs out of charge. According to the confiscated paramedic report, Brendan Harris attempted to check Jonathan Tinmouth's pulse and breathing to no success, and there is no evidence of Danielle Evergreen touching Jonathan Tinmouth. She contacted her superior, Lee Harvey, team leader paramedic. From here, the following members of the police and National Health Service were made aware of Jonathan Tinmouth's condition. Lee Harvey, team leader paramedic. Jennifer Brown, hospital CEO. PCSO William Bentley. PCSO Trevor West. Chief Inspector Harold Lawrence. Chief Superintendent Liam Hughes, who then contacted MI5. MI5 entered Jonathan Tinmouth's room at 10:24 p.m. The cleansing operation begins at 11 th of July 10:25 p.m. Chief Superintendent Liam Hughes praised for contacting MI5. In return, MI5 agreed to destroy compromising material from 25th of February 2017 of Liam Hughes with a prostitute. Agreement not to be kept, and compromising material involving Chief Superintendent Liam Hughes to be stored until further notice. Chief Inspector Harold Lawrence forcefully deceased by 2 agents in his own home late on 11th of July. Cause of death later deduced by paramedics to be 32 bullet wounds from automatic weapons. Jennifer Brown forcefully deceased by 2 agents on the evening of 12th of July in a manufactured suicide caused by inhalation of carbon dioxide. Collateral damage deemed acceptable. Jennifer Brown's 2 children, Logan Brown and Abby Brown, both forcefully deceased by inhalation of carbon dioxide. GCHQ, stored hard drive category number 1, issue number 124, placed in team leader paramedic Lee Harvey's address in the early hours of 12th of July. Lee Harvey arrested in the late evening of 12th of July for possession of 1 terabyte of Class 1, Class 2, and Class 3 of child porn. Hard drive taken from the address as evidence. Conviction chance estimated at 100%, minimum conviction estimated at 20 years. Review of sentence and whether Lee Harvey should be forcefully deceased in custody to be reviewed when required. PCSO William Bentley and PCSO Trevor West were ordered out of the property and encouraged to return to work to finish their shifts. PCSO William Bentley forcefully deceased, heading home from work in the early hours of 12th of July through a manufactured car crash caused by Central Intelligence Agency accessing systems in his electric vehicle. No collateral damage reported as vehicle hit a stationary object at 86 miles per hour. PCSO Trevor West forcefully deceased by suicide by hanging in his own home by 2 agents during early morning of 12th of July. Brendan Harris and Danielle Evergreen were ordered out of the property and were asked to give their statements to MI5 agents on the scene. Once statements were taken, both were encouraged to head home and to tell no one about the incident. Danielle Evergreen was forcefully deceased by strangulation by an agent on her way home by bicycle in a manufactured robbery where her phone was confiscated. Brendan Harris was forcefully deceased by an agent in his own home that evening with a machete in a manufactured burglary where his phone and laptop were confiscated. Jeremy Tinmouth, Jane Tinmouth, and Emily Tinmouth all gave statements to MI5 agents on the scene inside their home. Once statements were taken, all were encouraged to take MI5 supplied tablets to help them sleep. All forcefully deceased through cyanide capsules by 11:30 p.m. on the 11th of July. By 8 a.m. 12th of July, all first-hand and all second-hand witnesses of Jonathan Tinmouth's death either forcefully deceased or in custody with 100% chance of conviction. No neighbors to be taken into custody or forcefully deceased due to the relatively isolated location of the Tinmouth's home. First-hand witnesses of the YouTube videos estimated at under 20. Jonathan Tinmouth's friend, Jacob Talbot, was taken into custody on the 12th of July when walking home from school and forcefully deceased later that day by MI5 agents. Body disposed of in an undisclosed lake in order to be manufactured as a drowning accident. Leonard Steer, the YouTube employee who removed both videos, is in FBI custody to be forcefully deceased or charged with manufactured crimes. The remaining viewers of the videos are being investigated by intelligence agencies in their respective countries. These intelligence agencies have been highly advised to forcefully decease each of these witnesses, but can also charge with manufactured crimes as long as this means that A, they can be forcefully deceased at a later date, C, they will serve at least 20 years in prison, C, that they are likely to be killed by prisoners for these crimes, e.g. sexual assault, rape, or pedophilia-related crimes, and D, that prisoners should be allowed to or be encouraged to kill the witness. Extraction team enter Jonathan Tinmouth's room at 11:31 p.m. and begin extraction method. The package was extracted from the property at 12:47 a.m. on the 12th of July and taken to an undisclosed location for further investigation. Upon leaving the property, 2 agents stayed to oversee the destruction of the property by house fire with the deceased Jeremy Tinmouth, Jane Tinmouth, and Emily Tinmouth inside. Telephone lines and cell signal blocked by MI5 to avoid any calls to the local fire department. Non-essential body parts on Tinmouth's corpse were removed upon extraction using industrial saws due to necessary time restraints. Torso and head of Tinmouth deemed only body parts essential to keeping the Phoenicia lastria alive, and so was left attached. Screams coming from Tinmouth's body suggest that Tinmouth may still feel pain. Further investigation has found that there is almost full brain activity but complete paralysis in Tinmouth's body. It has been theorized that the brain is being kept alive by the Phoenicia lastria, but it is not in our intention to believe that Tinmouth is alive. For the record, Jonathan Tinmouth is dead, and what is left is a host from the Phoenicia lastria. Second story. The cops didn't believe me when I saw a UFO. They do now. I'm writing this from inside an interrogation room, barricaded behind a desk and a filing cabinet, hands shaking with the lights flickering overhead and something wet scratching at the other side of the door. I don't know how much time I have, but someone needs to know what happened. Someone needs to understand what's coming. It started last night, just after 1:40 a.m., when I caught the last bus home after my shift at the gas station. Route 13, practically abandoned. It cuts through a winding stretch of forest before looping out toward the far edge of town where I rent a little house. Most nights, I'm the only passenger. Just me and Marcus, the driver. Marcus was solid, quiet, maybe late 50s. Always wore a faded baseball cap. Always had a half-dead cigarette tucked behind his ear. The kind of guy who gave off this unshakable calm, like he'd seen everything and just didn't care anymore. He didn't scare easy until last night. We were maybe 3 stops from mine, just entering the thickest part of the woods. The trees crowd close there, thick black pines that block out the stars. The air always feels heavier, like the forest is watching. Then the bus stuttered. Just once. The headlights flickered. The dash lights dimmed. And then, with a grinding wheeze, everything died. No power. No engine. No hum of electricity. The heater shut off, and the cold hit me like a wave. And then the light came. Not headlights. Not lightning. Something else. A white, sterile brilliance washed over the forest, so bright it bled through the seams of the bus, glowing under the seats, behind the windows, through the metal. It wasn't light. It was erasure, like everything outside the bus had been painted over. Marcus stood slowly. I remember the way he looked back at me, one hand on the door lever, eyes narrowed. Not scared exactly, just resigned. "Stay here," he said, "no matter what." The doors opened with a hiss, even though there was no power. Marcus stepped out into the light, casting a long shadow behind him. I climbed into the driver's seat, heart pounding. That's when I saw it. The ship wasn't above us. It was ahead, parked right on the road like it had always been there. It was impossible to focus on, curved in ways that made my head hurt, like a Mobius strip made of bone and steel. The surface writhed subtly, pulsing like it was breathing. We're hungry. And then they came. They didn't walk. They glided, silent and deliberate, like something underwater. They were tall, thin, their skin waxy and pale. Their arms bent in too many places like dislocated joints, moving with unnatural precision. Their heads were smooth, eyeless, featureless except for a vertical slit that split open slowly when they got close, revealing a slick red membrane that rippled like it was tasting the air. They approached Marcus and touched him, just a single hand on his forehead. He went stiff. Then they turned, and he followed them like a puppet on strings, walking up into the open ship. No sound, no struggle, just obedience. Then nothing. The light vanished. The ship was just gone, like it had never existed. I ran. I don't remember getting off the bus. I remember the cold air biting my lungs and the sting of tree branches on my face as I sprinted through the forest toward the main road. I flagged down a logging truck, babbled something about abduction and creatures and Marcus disappearing. The driver called the cops. They met me in minutes. They didn't believe me, of course, but they were kind about it. Too kind, like they were handling someone fragile. They brought me to the station. That was their mistake. I told them everything. 6 officers, 1 dispatcher, 2 detectives, all of them sitting in stunned silence as I described the ship, the things that came down, the way Marcus didn't fight. Then the lights flickered, just once, then again. Then everything went dead, and the humming started. Not mechanical, not even physical. It was in our skulls. A low, nauseating frequency that vibrated behind the eyes. One officer screamed and dropped his radio. Another grabbed his head and staggered back against the wall, eyes rolled up into white. Then the windows shattered. The front glass imploded, and a gust of cold air filled the room, reeking of burnt plastic and decay. Something stepped through, spilled through, like it was peeling itself into our reality. It was one of them, but then there were many. Chaos erupted. One officer fired his sidearm. The bullets froze midair, hung there for a second, and then reversed direction and tore into him. Another was lifted by his throat and peeled open from the jaw like paper. There was no blood at first, just smoke like something inside him had boiled before his skin caught up. One creature slid through the ceiling tiles and dropped onto an officer's back. It wrapped long fingers around his head and sank its hand through his skull like it was dipping in a clay. The screams never stopped. They didn't even sound human after a while. I watched the sergeant try to fight one off with a baton. It didn't even flinch. It let him hit it, then folded itself inside out and swallowed him whole. His body didn't fall. It just melted into the thing like it was never there. I ran. I don't even remember getting into the interrogation room. I just remember slamming the door and jamming the filing cabinet in front of it. My hands were covered in someone else's blood. Now I'm here, listening. The hall is quiet, except for the occasional click, like bone tapping on tile, or teeth chattering in reverse. Then the scratching started, soft at first, curious, then faster, more aggressive, long, sharp movements, something dragging claws across the wood and glass, something eager. I didn't dare look through the window, but I should have known they'd want me to, because that's when I saw it, standing outside, in the parking lot, perfectly still. One of them, tall, pale, skin like curdle milk, long arms dangling at its sides like puppet strings. And its head was Marcus's face. Not a mask, not a copy. His actual face, stitched onto its head like wet leather, stretched too thin over something not meant to wear it. His eyes were glassy, lips pulled into a slight, pleasant smile. And then it spoke, in Marcus's voice. Come on now. It's all right. Let us in. You're the last one. His voice was calm, kind, familiar, but there was something under it. A subtle delay, like someone practicing speech by playing it through a broken speaker. Like it didn't know what it was saying, just that it had to say it. The scratching's getting louder now. Faster. The door's vibrating like something's clawing at the lock from the inside. They don't want to kill me. They want me to open the door. They want permission. They want compliance. I can hear more of them out there now, clicking, hissing, mimicking footsteps and whispered voices. One of them is giggling. In my voice. I'm not going to make it out of this room, but I needed someone to know what happened here. This isn't science fiction. It's not invasion. It's replacement. And if this is just the beginning. Third story. My mom got the UFO sighting she always wanted, but it was more than she bargained for. My mom is very, very religious and no nonsense. She grew up Brethren, which is basically an older form of Baptist, which doesn't really exist anymore. Despite her upbringing, she has always been interested in aliens. I think it's because her dad also had an obsession with them, but I don't know why. Maybe he saw something during his trucking and military days. As a kid, I always caught my mom watching those alien and UFO shows. She really wanted to see a UFO for herself. One night, she was traveling down the Appalachian Mountains in western NC, coming from a festival in eastern TN. It was fall, so the leaves were beginning to become bare, and you could see through them. She was driving along with my sister and my grandmother when she sees what looks like 3 to 5 lights in a circular shape. It's getting really close. My sister and grandmother notice it too. Soon it appears to be behind them, very low to the ground. My mom opens the sunroof and windows, but there is no sound at all coming from whatever it is. Then, something my mom describes as an opaque white column comes down onto the road behind her car, and it's following. Like, the distance between the white column and the car doesn't change. My mom went from curious to freaked and guns it. I think the total time it followed was probably less than a minute. Eventually, it all went away without a trace. When my mom finally got home that night and told me about it, I thought she would be excited, but it nearly scared her to death. She said she had always wanted to see a UFO, but that experience left her terrified. I remember she complained about being able to sleep for the next few nights. This was 10 or so years ago, but she still doesn't seem to talk about aliens with such frequency. It so happened that she knew of a friend who lived around where she was when she saw it. She called him up, and sure enough, the camera on his garage actually caught the lights on Phil from that night. Probably wouldn't have if it wasn't fall cause of all the trees. If people are interested, I can try and see if she knows where that video is, but it's probably long gone. Edit. Sorry, but I can't find the video. It was on my mom's Facebook, but this was about 10 years ago, and I can't find it. It was also on the local Johnson City, Tennessee news, cause multiple people saw the lights from a distance, but I can't find a report online. Sorry, sad face. Fourth story. Help me explain potential chronic UFO activity as a kid. I have been feeling like I'm going crazy trying to find anyone else with similar experiences online. So, when I was younger, I experienced strange lights that would follow me around from place to place. This also happened to me for a long time, like from 8 or so up until my late teens/early adulthood. Although from ages 14 and up the activity significantly decreased. The first few times I noticed the lights was just staring out of my bedroom window, watching them hypnotically. The lights are white light as far as I remember, and they always seem to be coming from above the clouds somewhat. The lights were arranged in such a way that there was a central beam or dot. Then 4 others identical to it arranged around it. Pretty much exactly like how 5 on dice or a domino is shown. Except with these lights, the 4 outer ones would circle around the central one, converging on it before merging for a second, only to come back out going the opposite way, essentially doing the process in reverse and repeating it over and over. Now, the first time I saw these lights, I thought it was strange and asked about it, but my parents only told me that it was probably only spotlights for advertising or something. This explanation didn't satisfy me because of the way the lights moved, and nobody was concerned enough to actually look. But I pushed it aside and just made mention of it to my little brother, who found it amusing. That is until I stayed over at a friend's house and got back, and he told me the lights weren't there when I was gone. Over time, I noticed the lights outside of my window no matter where I went. Staying over someplace else, even across the years, and through multiple different moves and displacement, I still saw those lights. It became a habit of mine to check the window to see if they were there. You'd think that if it was lights from some kind of establishment, that they would stay where they were and not be omnipresent outside my window. I caught the lights even following me as I rode in cars or on public transit with adults around me. I tried to point it out, but I just got eye rolls and nobody even looked to confirm or deny anything. It was like it was so absurd nobody cared. Or maybe they did look and just saw nothing of note in their eyes. But I know my brother saw them too. Then it stopped after a certain point. I stopped caring too much, and since they were so constant, I got desensitized. One night, I was walking my girlfriend home after school and noticed the lights again, above us, following and trailing behind. I noticed because she asked me what they were in confusion. She had noticed them without any input from me. So I told her my story and freaked her out unintentionally before calming her down. Told her I was just messing with her. But the lights followed me all the way home that night. I haven't seen them in years since then, looking warily up at the sky every so often, but not searching deliberately. But I always wonder, what could it have been? Does anyone have a reasonable explanation? Could it be that I was experimented on or being observed by something? Studied? I feel like maybe I should let it go, but part of me has always felt a nagging feeling thinking about it. Fifth story. Terrifying UFO experience. I can't quite understand this one myself, so maybe you guys can help. This was on the 11th of July, 2019. Me and my boyfriend, now husband, were camping in the mountains. Very high up. Now this area is so high up and remote that there is virtually no light pollution, so you can see nearly every star in the sky when it's a clear night, like this one was. So we were just relaxing, staring at the stars, usually romantic things you do in the mountains. When we started noticing the stars acting differently, they appeared to zigzag and go upward and almost play with one another, weaving near each other and away again in circular motions. We were just amazed by it all and couldn't take our eyes off the sky. This went on for about 2 to 3 hours solid. That wasn't the strangest part, though. Where we were camping, there is a clear view of an opening between two other mountains. At around 2 a.m., maybe 3 a.m., I noticed this bright, very bright light between those mountains, so I nudged my partner to look over too. We were staring at this massive white/yellow looking star go upwards and quickly noticed it was going towards us. My partner is a man that isn't easily scared, and this really scared him to the point he near broke my nose, tried to hide fully in the tent with both of us screaming as this star just stopped right above us. When it was above us, right before we both panicked, it seemed to have a diamond-type shape and was super bright. But that isn't the strangest part. When we were in the tent, the light didn't shine through the tent. This thing didn't make a single noise. So no, it wasn't a drone or anything like that. It was far too big. And what seemed like seconds later, we were both so calm looking at the stars again like nothing happened until sunrise. If both U.S. didn't experience this, if it was just one of us, I could try and make excuses for it, but I can't explain it. And to top it all off, when I'm talking about it, or in this case typing, it feels like I'm lying and my partner feels the same way. Like it never happened. Like I'm making it up, and the more I try and remember about that night, the more we can't remember when I'm talking about it, if you get me. Sixth story. I saw ancient giants in West Virginia. I lived in West Virginia for the past 3 years. The growing healthcare sector made it the ideal place to be transferred, as it had not only the best places to work, but also a decent chemical manufacturing sector as well. A penny saved is a penny earned, as if the healthcare system here in the U.S. wasn't making enough money already. That being said, my work in healthcare has nothing to do with what happened on the night of January 16th, 2023 to March 16th. I made many notes on what happened when it happened, a habit I picked up from my work, but only in late 2023 did I start to obsess over it. January 16th. I left work late in the evening. Nothing out of the ordinary. Many people work late into the night at my workplace. If anything, I left early compared to the other cars in the parking lot. The drive was short but beautiful. I will say that about the mountain state. You also have the best night sky I've ever seen. It was because my eyes were glued to the stars whenever I came to a stop that I saw it. A shadow blocking out the stars, moving fast enough for me to notice and slow enough for me to understand the shape. It was like a snake. It had a head, rectangular in shape, with strange interruptions in the shadows, but the body thinned out towards the tail. It was snake-like not only in shape, but in the way it moved, serpentine. It was like seeing one of those water snakes, but instead of wriggling along the surface of a still lake or slow-moving river, it was making its way across the stars. I followed its movement path, ignoring the car behind me honking its horn. My car roof got in the way at some point, but I stuck my head out the driver's side window to get a good look at it. A screech of tires and a sudden rush sent me back into the car. The driver behind me got too frustrated waiting for me to move, so they decided to drive around me at the same time I stuck my head out. Thankfully, he didn't drive so close. I lost sight of the snake-like creature. I don't think it moved so fast at that moment. I just think it went beyond the dark shapes of the mountains and trees, leaving me searching for it. It wasn't so dark that I would have trouble spotting it again if it was in sight. With a disappointed sigh, I drove on. When I got home, I turned to a clean page on my notepad. I wrote the date and description of what I saw on that page, with some possible theories. I blamed my eyes at first, but then I made suggestions like a plane banner, a lost kite, and a unique weather balloon. All of them were perfectly logical and believable. It was enough to make me forget about it and go to sleep. February 6th. Same deal. I was on a night drive, but not from work. I had a few days off for personal leave. I was driving to my girlfriend's, planning on surprising her, but I got distracted by another sliver of movement in the sky. Not the same creature. It was larger, closer to the mountains. It seemed to be circling them. The creature seemed more anthropomorphic, with legs and arms, but also wings. The legs and arms were way too long for the gigantic body, dwarfing the tiny frame and the wings even more so. The limbs dangled and flowed with the movements of the flying creature, which were sometimes slow and sometimes so fast I would occasionally lose sight of it. I tried taking a picture with my phone, but it was a 10-year-old BlackBerry. Whatever miraculous night photo I thought I took was only a dark, grainy blur that wouldn't show anything, no matter how much editing went into it. The creature flew behind the mountain, and I didn't see it return. I waited. I completely forgot my plan to visit my girlfriend. Instead, whenever I had a free night, I would spend hours watching the sky, sometimes with someone with me, but mostly I was alone. Nobody knew what I was searching for. They just thought I took up a new hobby of stargazing and appreciated that idea enough to not ask too many questions. My main focus was the part of the sky above the forest and near the mountain. Night after night, I watched, but it was only weeks later that I saw anything. February 27th. A pattern. 3 weeks between each sighting. I glimpsed the snake-like creature. With a cheap telescope at hand, I was able to observe a lot better, and thankfully, it was a clear night. The interruptions in the snake-like creature were due to its several limbs. It had so many legs like that of a centipede. They might have been wings, but if they didn't seem to be moving that fast, or maybe they were moving so fast that they looked like they were moving a little slow. I don't know for sure. More importantly, its pathing reminded me of the second sighting. Circling the mountains, stopped, moving, sometimes jolting to the next spot before stopping again. 10 minutes later, the creature disappeared behind the mountain, and I waited a little longer, but at some point, I knew it wouldn't come out again. The most important finding was the 3-week gap between the appearances. It might have been a stretch to believe that they operated on clockwork, but too many factors lined up to say this was some random occurrence. March 20th, the last sighting. Now, this is where I finally opted to learn something. I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't sit back and watch it appear from a distance. I didn't have a good sense of their scale or their movement. Something as wondrous as this cannot be excused as nothing important. I decided to venture as close to the area they flew as I could. That meant taking dirt roads in my city car, passing by overgrown and abandoned hiking trails, as well as encountering the odd stag that wanted to play deer in the headlights. When I finally reached a point where the car could go no further, not without damaging it, I left it behind. I'm not an idiot either. I placed GPS tag for my phone to pick up on, a new phone too. I could find my way back in the dark if I had to, but I also brought a powerful flashlight. Finally, a camera with a 64 gigabits card. Enough to get tons of high-quality shots, maybe even video too. I didn't need much more than that. I didn't plan on staying the whole night. I wasn't too eager to walk through the forest at night either. I knew the dangers. Every sane human understands the threats that await us in the dark, especially away from civilization. That being said, I am a firm believer in statistics, and the risk-reward ratio was acceptable. I just wanted that one good look. Who knows where that, and maybe a few photos, would take me. I stuck to the parts of the forest where the trees were the thinnest, making my way closer to the mountain as I knew that would give me the most open shot of the creature. It was a good plan, I was making good progress, but something was already wrong. An irritation in my inner ear, a buzzing that made me unsteady. It felt like the world was shifting around me, or more accurately, it felt like I was drunk without the buzz, just the lack of coordination. The buzzing grew louder and more painful, like a tiny bug was nestled in my brain. It helped to cover my ears, which I did as tightly as I could. I stepped out of the forest, ending up at the foot of the mountain with gritted teeth. When it began to fade, the sense of relief was intense. I didn't know I could tense so many muscles without actually pain. I opened my eyes and noticed a familiar shadow across the mountain. Turning around, I saw the second creature, the humanoid with long limbs and massive wings. I thought I might see it again. The angel and the dragon, I called them. The angel drifted, then jolted, then flew in its usual pattern. I got my camera ready as it did, the moonlight being enough to find it and the appropriate buttons to set things up. I was smiling, listening to the air part as the angel moved. I wondered if the breeze I felt was the gust of wind created by the beating of its wings. The camera was ready. It had moved behind the mountain, but I could see it turning. I raised my camera, taking a few shots in sports mode to capture the motion. A quick check of the display screen presented me with better photos, but there was still too much blur, as to be expected. Excitement was bubbling inside my heart. The creature hovered above the forest again, continuing its search for whatever it was looking for. I started twisting the dial for the automatic camera presets. There wasn't a moment to waste. I raised the camera and took the shot. There was a thunk and then a flash. A burst of light as the camera's flash went off. I lowered the camera and the angel's oblong head turned to face me. I couldn't see a feature in the silhouette, not a hair, not an ear. It was an inky thumb for all I knew, but it had definitely noticed me. Being seen killed any excitement. The buzzing returned, the inner ear pain, but I didn't raise my hands to cover my ears. I took off into the forest. The ground trembled around me. The trees cracked as they were parted. The shadow of the angel was cast over me, and I found myself more than lost in the darkness. I didn't try making it back to the car. I needed to find a place to hide. Afraid the noise of my panting or the movement of my running would catch the angel's eye, I stopped when I thought I found a good spot to hunker down. It was near a tree, a thick one. I placed my body flat against it, focusing on the sounds. Ahead of me, a hand dipped between the trees. The fingers were as large as trees themselves, also out of proportion compared to the elongated hand. It was looking for me, but when I looked up, all I saw was branches. Since I couldn't see its face, I prayed that it couldn't see me either. That's when the tree started to bend. A tree is terrifyingly loud. I could feel the earth being pulled as the tree was knocked over. I think it was thanks to those roots that I was able to move out of the way of the trunk, but stick close enough to the tree to still be out of sight. When the tree had fallen, I stayed in the shadow of its upturned base, eyes shut and body shaking. Even with my eyelids closed, I could see the area brighten as the shadow withdrew. When I opened my eyes, the angel was gone. The damage to the trees was minor, aside from the fallen one which I huddled by. It clearly had the strength to destroy the whole forest in its search for me, but it didn't. I peeked out from my hiding spot to look back towards the mountains, just seeing the angel slip behind it, and it didn't return. I lingered a moment longer. The combined relief of my escape and the fading of that buzzing noise helped me calm down. When I could move again, I marched back to my car, taking it slow on my drive back, only picking up the pace when I was on a real road again and could see other cars. I kept telling myself that I escaped, but there were moments when it felt like I had never left. Still, when I made it home, I turned on my computer and transferred the photos. All I saw was image burns, the kind of delayed light that one would see when capturing a moving light source with a slow shutter speed. A fun effect if you wanted to write your name with a glow stick, but not when you wanted something to justify risking your life. The blurred image looked like scattered sparklers, whereas the picture of it hovering ahead of me left a bright white glow. Like I had taken a picture of the sun, some fantastically iridescent object. Maybe it came down to the camera settings I chose, but I doubt it. 3 weeks later, I didn't see anything. I stayed up many nights after that, but still nothing. Whatever the angel and the dragon were, they didn't stick around. I would like to believe I'm not the only one who has seen them. I guess if you're not looking for them, it's possible to miss them. But I saw them by chance. Why not someone else? I need some kind of confirmation that this isn't the end. These things don't just vanish, not without being seen, I don't think. Giants such as these have been seen before. There are carvings, paintings, and stories. Yet, I don't need ancient history or additional sightings. I am living proof that they exist, no matter what anyone says. My experience was enough. I am convinced that I saw ancient giants in West Virginia. Thanks a lot for watching the video. Till the end, subscribe to Horror in Detail for more videos. Drop your suggestions in comment section.